Good evening, everybody. Hope y'all are having a wonderful Sunday evening. My name is Larry Q. Drawn, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Conversations and Rhythm podcast. Uh, I'm going to be talking to two incredibly talented musicians this evening. The first being Mr. John Curry, and the second being Mr. Will Lyle. So let me see here. I met Jonathan Curry at North Carolina Central University whenever I was working on my master's. He was in the undergrad program, and I heard him one day. I don't remember whether it was a combo or or maybe in the practice room, but either way, it was just one of the things. I heard this kid. I was like, yeah, that cat's a beast. Like he's got the thing. Um, and fast forward, today, I mean, he's doing incredible things. Like he's the drummer for Masego. I don't know if you guys saw the ad for tonight's interview, but that song that was like super popular maybe like 2 years ago, "Can I Get to the Yams?" Like everybody was doing like a online challenge. Well, that artist Masego, uh, yeah, he's playing drums for him. He's playing drums for Rhapsody, the incredible hip hop artist. So many other people. I mean, he's really doing his thing, traveling around the world. Uh, but the biggest thing is playing the heck out of the drums. So I'm super excited to talk with him tonight because it's always awesome whenever you see. So I'm super excited. I'm super excited to sit down with him. I also mentioned Will Lyle. Will Lyle's an incredible bassist. Originally from California, but living in New York City now, and doing, like the professional New York musician thing. And he's played with a number of jazz masters. I actually met him um, working with singer Eve Cornelius. She just put out, well, we just recorded her latest album. She's going to put it out soon. And pianist extraordinaire Anthony Wanzi. Um, she brought him in. They've known each other for years. And I met Will because Will is currently being mentored by Wanzi, and heard the cat. Greg, what's up, man? I heard the cat play. He's a beast. Got an incredible quarter note beat going on, and yeah, he's doing his thing up here on social media as well as an educator. So it's a lot of things that are going on that I'm excited to talk with him about. Uh, as usual, y'all, we got these technical difficulties going on with the with Instagram. Let me see. Let me see if John. Okay, boom. So he's on. All right, cool. So there he is. What's happening, man?
Peace, peace. What's up, bro?
Man, what's good, Doc? Yo, can you hear me? All right.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, killing. I was just telling the people before you jumped on, man. Bruh, I remember the first time I heard you uh, at Central, and you can tell whenever somebody's got the thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you can tell. I mean, we know what it is.
for sure,
Having
for
grown
sure,
up in church is God.
for
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? You hear somebody play, and you be like, oh yeah,
That
they've got a
oil,
gift from
oil
God.
dots,
They're
that
all
oil.
on. Come on, Doc. Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, man, to see how you've taken, it's not enough for a cat just to be talented. Like you got to work at it, and
For
to
sure.
see what you've been able to multiply um your gift into what you're doing now,
Yeah.
man, is incredible. And
Appreciate
it's
that, bro.
inspiring. Yeah, man. Yeah, dog. Like, you know what
Man.
I'm saying? We keep it hot around here, man.
Yeah, yeah, for
Uh
sure.
yeah. So man, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm well, man. Just doing this daddy thing, man.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, man.
How many kids you got, man?
Just one, bro.
That,
I have a son. He's like a year and a half, bro, baby.
what?
Yeah, man.
That's cool, man. What's
Yeah,
this?
bro.
What not? What is that? You know what I'm saying? We can talk about, we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
do the name and
for
stuff
sure, for sure,
all
for sure.
off camera. But congratulations, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So I already know your sound has changed, man. Me and my best friend Devin, we talk about that all the time. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's the second, like that, just having that new life, around, like it changes perspectives. Talk to me about how
yeah.
fatherhood has deepened and strengthened your overall concept on the instrument.
Mm, that's crazy because I haven't even thought about that. But I thinking about it now. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to
I
say.
did. I
That's a
did.
deep question though.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's
Yeah.
something that I'll definitely think about and be more cognizant of now.
Uh,
Like how it's changed my sound. I know how it's changed my life, but my sound, it's hard to
mhm.
say. It's hard
I
to say
did. Well, no, that's peace,
for
man.
sure.
Um, so so I was telling the people about your work with Masego. It was
Yeah.
crazy. I uh I remember whenever the song was like mad popular, the Yam song, right?
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, I was like, yo, I really like this song. I'm gonna watch a live version of this song just on the strength, because like I wasn't hip, like I didn't know,
Yeah.
right? So, bro, tell me why. I pull up the video, and this is with the is it the New Deco Ensemble? I want to
Oh,
pronounce it right.
yeah. Yeah. With New Deco. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I look up, and the homie Curry is on the drums. I'm like, now here's what was so awesome, right? I hear the drummer, and I'm like, yo, whoever that is, they back there smacking it, right? I'm going through, just like the typical musician train
Yeah.
of thought, like when you're
Yeah.
listening to something good. Bruh, they cut to the angle, and I was like, yo, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, bruh, so how did you get that gig, man? Like how did all of that come together?
Yo, it's actually funny. That's a Durham story, low key. Like
Hmm.
I this was a while ago, like 2014, 2015, maybe.
Okay.
Masego was in he performed at BU. He had a show at
Hmm.
BU. This is like, before he was like big time, but he
Yeah.
was like making some noise, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And he did a thing at BU, and I think uh it was like a Art of Cool thing, but his drummer couldn't make it. So they hit me up, Cicely hit me up, and then I just did something at BU with him like that day. We didn't have like a rehearsal. We just kind of were just on stage, and it
Yeah.
was like, bro, low key, we were just kind of locked in from there. Like,
Mhm.
and then uh, maybe like a year later, he took me to South by Southwest. We did South by Southwest like a year later,
Okay.
and then like a year after that, like, and in between this time, this is when I started working with Rhapsody. So
Hmm.
like maybe a year later, he dropped the album, and then the Lady Lady album, and then that's when stuff started going crazy. So after that, once we hit the ground, it was like it's on, bro. It's on, and it's been like that ever since. Low key.
Dog. Well, that is a
And
blessing, man. I'm so freaking
yeah,
happy for you, dog. That is cool, man.
yeah, bro,
So you mentioned something that was very, very powerful, and I think that this is a great way for us to shout out um the program at North Carolina Central, because
for sure.
you said you said that the drummer he was working with couldn't make it, and so
Hmm.
you got the call
Yep,
last minute. Um, and the reason why you were successful was because of all of the preparation that it taken place beforehand. So whenever that door opened, you were ready to sprint through the door.
for sure.
So, so talk to me about some of the things that you learned during your time at Central that like helped prepare your
Ooh,
mindset to be able to get on the stage with anybody and make the audience think y'all been rehearsing for months?
yeah. It everything. Like from the experiences that I've had in school, the experiences I have had outside of school, playing in the clubs and the jam sessions, and
Yeah.
of course church. Like I mean, that's my first teacher, right?
Yeah, of course.
So like
Of
even
course, yeah.
but even like coming to Durham and moving to Durham and then playing at church in Durham,
Uh-huh.
completely different. Like
Okay.
completely different. It was like, oh, this is like grown up. Like, like we were getting it in New Jersey, but it's like this was like it's a different thing in Durham, you know what I'm saying, in the
Yeah.
South. So, in terms of like just being thrown into a situation, I feel like that's all that was happening when I was in Durham. I'd be thrown
Mm-hmm.
into situations in church, thrown into
Mm-hmm.
situations in the jazz band. I couldn't play any jazz when I got down here, man. I was just
Mm-hmm.
playing drums.
I did.
I thought I was gonna be in the big band.
Uh-huh.
But when I came down here, it was like, bro, you were in the big band. It was like, oh yeah, this is different. This isn't what I thought.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So that was like a whole nother situation being thrust into the fire, bro. So it's
Mhm.
like just doing that, dealing with that
Yeah.
on a consistent basis. Like, bro, I think this is also like the time at Central where like y'all were still hazing people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the upperclassmen were like
Uh-huh.
still like really drilling the stuff into the freshmen and the sophomores. You know what I'm saying?
That's real, yeah.
It was a different vibe back then,
Uh-huh.
And I
Yeah.
think dealing with that, bro, and then like growing and kind of getting better, or thinking that I was getting better and getting confidence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, the call to do the Masego thing and like being last minute no rehearsal, that was like a normal thing. I'm playing at
Yeah.
BU. I feel like I had home court advantage. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I'm at home. I'm the comfortable one. So it's like
Talk your junk, man. Talk your junk.
I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So man, Durham had bruh, Durham, like the program, the scene,
Uh-huh.
the church, it's all integral in like my development, bro, as a musician and my ability to, I guess, at least at that time, to be thrown into a position and being able to just, you know, do what I do to an
I
extent.
did. I think that that's so brilliant. That and thank you for going back to the church first. I was
Yeah,
reading your bio, and I knew we had a lot in common, but I was like, holy cow, like we got a lot in common, man. When it comes to playing in church, a lot of people who don't know, who outside of the culture,
yeah,
like what you said, that's like getting thrown a song or having to play a set of music that you're literally learning as you're hearing it for the first time. That's just run a course.
yeah,
And and you're right, the atmosphere of church really prepares you uh as far as like anything dealing with backbeat. You can go into any setting, and if you really got your ears together and you really got a very strong concept of being able to adapt and being sensitive, you're right, man. You can play with anybody. Um, Talk to me about like your early memories in church, man, and being around the presence of God and like hearing those different sounds. Like what did that do to you? And like, yeah, talk to me about that, man.
man. It's almost like I've had like five different lives, man. Like when I think about
Mm-hmm.
all of these different like musical eras in my life, I think my memories of church in New Jersey, even from like being a kid, like my dad had this scholarship program that it was a gospel choir called God's New Generation when I was a kid, bro. I was probably like 8.
That's
Um,
cool, man.
yo, and we used to like travel to churches, so we would like be at like all of the churches that had like midnight musicals and concerts and New Year's Eve this and
Mm-hmm.
bro, just thinking about it, bro. So I grew up around musicians like it's like people like Joe Wilson, like Joe Flip Wilson, and like, bro, like Ty Tribbett before Ty Tribbett was like famous. It's like these
Yeah.
types of musicians at these gigs and at these churches and events that we were going
Mhm.
to. And I had to sing in the choir. I wasn't even playing. Like
That's awesome.
my dad had me up there singing, bro. And like, bro, I, I met so many musicians. I was hearing so many musicians. Like I said, I'm like 8 or 9 years old,
Hmm.
hearing like people really playing and like seeing a level at an early age. But then also like the atmosphere, like you were saying, like this is church is not, I mean, I think church can get really showy, but also seeing like, bro, the anointing legitimately, like
Yeah. Yeah.
really seeing that and understanding like it's a different thing when like people have that oil, man, for real, and like being able to hear some music and feel it a different kind of way from an
Hmm.
early age, bro, really just, I don't know, man, that definitely shaped me as well, man. Like, bro, when I think about my the old days, man, when I was a kid, like those memories, it's crazy to me, man. It's insane. But like I said, yeah, I was around the guys, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I didn't know at that time, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I was a kid. I was a child. I didn't know who these people were. So I just heard them and was hearing them on a consistent basis. Like the musicians that played in the band that was playing with the choir. It was just like guys, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
man, just crazy, man. So many memories. So many memories.
That's incredible, man. So what did you see, um, like coming to Central and like learning to play jazz? Like, what were some of the things that made transitioning from gospel to jazz easy? And then what were some of the things that made it hard?
Mm. So the transition from church to jazz
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to how the music should feel, especially like
Hmm.
I came from Baptist church. Like I did have a lot of experiences, like I said, at events with like that like Ty Tribbett would be around in like Pentecostal churches and like Kojic
Yeah.
churches. But I grew up in a Baptist
Wow.
church. So the church that I was playing in, like we're doing hymns and quartet songs and it's like we would do other gospel stuff and Kurt Franklin and things like that, but it was like
Yeah.
quartet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um so the feeling, you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
that you get when it's right in church and the feeling that you get when it's right in jazz is like the same feeling. Also,
Uh-huh.
like a lot of times when you're really there, the
Uh-huh.
feeling that you give the people, that you're able to give the people, is
Yeah.
it's a similar thing. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Like it's a
Uh-huh.
similar thing. So I think that was one of the things that was easy for me. But what was difficult for me, um, it was it's the style, man.
Hmm.
I've been used to physically playing the drums a certain way my whole life,
Hmm.
and like searching for a certain sound and trying to get a certain sound out of the drums for my whole life at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So musically, it was like it was kind of easy for me to understand it musically, but playing it and playing it right is like a completely different thing. And then when you think that you're a good drummer, and then you start playing another style of music that's just as serious as the music that you grew up playing, and you realize that you now sound like you can't play drums at all. Like
Hmm.
you're not, you're almost not able to
Yeah.
be as good as you know what I'm saying, that you feel like you are on the drums. Man,
Hmm.
that was rough. That was very difficult for me. And then also like the academic portion of it as well. Like it was school, so as much as I feel like the faculty, especially at that time, was able to kind of separate the academics from the music in terms of not making the music feel super academic or
Hmm.
make it feel like it's academia, especially like y'all, man. Like the combo when you were there and the big band when you were there, it was like some of the best music I had ever heard in my life. Listening to y'all practice, so it
Wow.
wasn't like I was in school. It was like I'm I don't know. I'm somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm at a concert. You know.
It's cool, man.
but the academic part was kind of difficult for me. You know, trying to
Hmm.
read charts and then like trying to figure out how to apply yourself to the music
Yeah.
when you're reading a chart, and it's difficult, man. It was difficult. It's still difficult.
Uh-huh. Uh,
It's still
I
difficult,
did.
but yeah.
I think it's significantly less difficult now, bro. I was listening to you the other day. I was like, yo, this cat sounds incredible, man.
I appreciate that.
And I remember one of the things that I saw that made me have a lot of instant respect. I was like, yo, yeah, he one of them ones. I saw that you would carry with you around campus. You had the marching band sticks.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you did, yeah. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So go ahead and put these cats on game, man. Go ahead and let them know why they need to get their life together and get the marching sticks going,
You
man.
absolute, bruh. It's I still do it to this day.
Come on.
It's like, bruh, on the road, there have been
Uh
several times where I've been tripping out because it's like, where's my practice pad and my drumsticks? Like I can't find my practice pad and my
huh.
sticks, bro. It's an integral part of my practice. Like right before I came to college, so like my senior year, I played in the band at school. It was like the first time I had ever been in the school band was like my senior year of high school. So
Okay.
and seeing how the marching band changed my playing,
Yeah.
it was something I couldn't let go, man. Like, bro, it changes your technique, your playing, everything. It's like what you can do with your hands. You can tell when somebody has marched when they play the drum set.
Yeah.
You can tell. It's like, oh, you got hands.
Uh,
Like, and you can tell when somebody like there's cats that have hands that never did marching band. Like, there's church cats who
yeah.
like have only played in church their whole life, their
Hmm.
whole lives that have hands, but it's a different thing. It's a
Yeah.
different thing. You can tell when somebody has marched. You can look at them and tell.
Yeah. That's
So
real.
I don't know. That's something I'll never stop doing that, bro. I got the marching
Mhm.
sticks are literally right here.
Right. They're right there.
They're
Yeah.
right there, bro.
I dig. Yeah. Yo, all the drummers, man. I hope y'all caught that very, very, very important nugget of wisdom. And I'll add to this. I'll add to it like this because what you're hinting at is what we deal with in our community, right? Like being black people.
Hmm.
It's like because like with the legacy of slavery and everything, like reading and like the literary tradition surrounding certain things because it was illegal for us to read. Like we used to literally get eyes gouged out and hands cut off for trying to learn how to read. It's like there's a thing like in our community that we have to that every black person I theorize is faced with.
Yeah,
It's like, dang, yo, I gotta do all this reading. It's almost like there's like a fear of this paper.
yeah,
And one of the but when you look at black music historically, one of the reasons why what we've been able to create in this country is so powerful is that at the highest level, black music is the perfect combination of all of the oral traditions, meaning like
hmm, yeah, yeah,
AURAL traditions
yeah,
from Africa, and then all of the technique and intellectual curiosity that we pin to the European tradition. And it's important as a drummer, really as a musician, just period, just as a musician, really as just a human being. You need to be nosy about stuff. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
sure.
And we as the people, like that's something that like I teach elementary school now, and I never would have thought I'd be teaching
Yeah,
elementary school, but I
that's
love it,
actually
man.
crazy. That's
And
what's up.
and bruh, the main thing I got my kids doing, even if they can't execute the rhythm, they can read it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
yeah,
like I got these kids, bro, they read in syncopation. They read Ted
yeah.
Reed syncopation, guys. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes,
it's like,
sir.
yo, yeah, man. But it's like, these are little black and brown kids. And yeah, just coming against just that mindset. And that was something that I peeped in you. I was like, yeah, he done peeped some he's done his rudimental study because the combinations and the clarity that you was getting stuff out with. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, Doc, yeah. He putting in work.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something else, and I ain't gonna front. I kind of jumped whenever you said it. You talked about how like the upperclassmen we used to haze cats, and this has been something that I've been adamant about since I moved back to North Carolina, which is everybody who I was a jerk to. I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thoroughly apologize. You know what I'm saying? Because,
uh,
bruh, one of the things that I learned while I was a missionary was like, yo, like in this, even though we got this beautiful gift to play music, one of the major pitfalls that comes along with having this type of gift is pride.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is that Luciferian pride. And
Yeah.
I know that I met you at a time in my life where that was one of my major struggles. And man, if I ever said anything or did anything to you uh, just wrong, bro, please forgive me, man.
Nah,
Um,
yeah. I don't think so. So
well, I appreciate that. I,
yeah.
I I wanted to say this though. The thing I love about Central is that, man, Dr. Wiggins established this culture of checks and balances, humility, and hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? Like Doc established that, and so it was dope being a part of that system because
Yeah.
all that we were really trying to do, even if we went overboard sometimes, was we was really just trying to make everybody better. It's like, bruh, we're part of an elite fraternity of musicians being at North Carolina Central. And if we gonna rep this maroon color, we all gotta be on point. And the thing I dig about you, man, was that every time I heard you, you always were accepting the challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, yeah, man.
Bruh, it's funny because like even when I said hazing, I was like, I don't know if I should say that word, but
Uh,
because I know like nowadays it's a lot more taboo. And it
yeah,
makes sense. It makes sense because it doesn't work for everybody.
right.
Um, but being from New Jersey, like it's just a different thing. So I grew up in a church where I basically got hazed by the older musicians. It was
Yeah.
like some low key, some old bitter like dudes that like play in New York on Saturday night and then play at church
Mm-hmm.
on Monday. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Mm-hmm.
would haze me, bro. Like, so
Yeah.
like from a young age, man, I used to be at church crying and all types of stuff. So when I got to Central, bro, that was
You was ready.
normal. Yeah, that was normal. It was like, and I respected y'all because, like I said, I came there the first day I got to Central. I was like, I got this in the bag. It's no way it's anybody better than me, bro. It's no way. You know what I'm saying? And I remember the day I found out that they put me in Big Band 3.
Come on,
The
Doc.
day I found out, bro, I walked past the band room, the big band, where y'all were getting ready to rehearse,
Uh,
and you were sitting on the drums. And I looked through the glass of the door. You probably have no idea that this ever happened.
uh,
And you were just playing drums. Like it was like you were sitting there. I think Ryan Hansler was sitting there. Um, who else was in there? Jasmine Best
yeah.
might have been in there.
Little jazz. Yeah.
Uh, and you were playing like warming up, but it was like, oh, like there are people. First of all, not just people that. To me, it was like you were like the idea of what I thought I was, and then when I heard you, I was like playing jazz specifically. It was like, oh, never mind. Like that's really what it is. Like, okay, I get why I'm in
Mm,
band three. You know what I'm saying? Like I got it off the
mm.
jump. So hearing y'all, it was like, okay, I want to be like them. Like I want to be better than them.
Yeah.
Like I need to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that was
That's
my
how it
goal.
is. Yeah.
So when y'all start telling me stuff, even when it would be like yo, uh, like bro, dudes have told me stuff like, it sounds like you and the bass player in two different rooms, and it would be like, okay, all right, let me figure that out. But I also was happy that y'all were saying things to me because I was like, they wouldn't say nothing to me if they didn't think I sounded like something. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
it, man. That's
So it's
it.
like, man, whatever y'all told me I want to work on, because it's like I
That's
need
it.
New Jersey put a chip on your shoulder. That's just kind
Come
of how
on,
it is.
man.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? Chip on my
that's it,
shoulder.
man. So I've watched I've definitely done a serious perusal of your Instagram page, man, and you got some fire up there. Um, what are you working on now? Like what is the thing? Whether it's like something mass specific,
Hmm.
uh, like a very specific orchestration, or if it's just a general concept that you're trying to get. Like what is it that you're going for in your artistry?
All right. So right now, I would say like the past year, and this gonna sound kind of broad, but like maybe the past year and a half, maybe 2 years. It's like I've been playing uh more solos on stage.
Okay.
In that setting, it's like playing solos in the jazz setting is almost like that's what we do. We improvise. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
To an
Mhm.
extent. But it's definitely a part of what we do in the jazz space. But like in the space that I am with like Masego and playing with him, it's like a
Right.
different thing. So for like the past year and a half, like mentally where I've been at is just trying to really be able to flow, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's gonna sound broad, but just really working on the ability
Yeah.
to just flow as
The flow.
opposed
Yeah.
to getting super locked in doing one specific thing. Like I really just wanted to get out of that, and I didn't want to be nervous improvising for extended periods of time on
Mhm.
stage in front of all of those people. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's like even though we do this, it's like that's in a different space. There's all of
Mhm.
these people, and now I'm soloing for an extended period of time. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, I don't, and I'm doing this every night. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If we do 36 shows, it's like I gotta play 36
Yeah.
solos, and I can't be up there like sounding like trash when I'm playing for 3 or 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I just have to get to a place where, and that was like, it would affect what I did during the day. It wasn't just affecting like my practice or what I thought about in practice, but like what I would do during the day, what I would ingest musically during the day, uh,
Mhm.
my mood as well, because
Mhm.
that affects how I play.
Come on.
And yeah, just trying to get to a place where I was just able to flow freely and just be inspired by the moment and without feeling like I'm gonna mess up.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's been a thing. I recently just got home. I think I got home like a month ago in terms of like our last real show, and I just did something last week, but a month ago I got home and we're gonna be home for a little bit, and it's like the first time I'm gonna be home for an extended period of time. So I got my drums set up in the room,
Hmm.
and what I'm thinking, like my concept now, or what I'm trying to develop in terms of a concept. Well, first of all, I like I'm not playing my like tour setup. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get back to like a 3 piece or 4 piece. I got my drums right here, bro.
All right. All
Actually, how do I
right.
turn this around? Like literally, you know what I'm
Behind the
saying? I got
kid.
the
Woo.
yeah, yeah. I'm sitting at the drums, but I have like the 4 piece setup, bro. So
Okay.
I'm trying to just get back to that.
Uh-huh.
You know? Uh, yeah, bro. I'm also trying to bring myself to like really work through this book.
Advanced techniques for the
Yeah,
modern
bro.
drummer.
I'm trying to, cause I was
Yeah.
chilling with I pulled up on Patrick McGrew like a couple months ago at his
Yeah.
crib, and he was like, yo, try this, and it was like, oh,
Mhm.
I can't play that. Like he was
Mhm.
like, oh, it's in this book, and I ordered the book immediately. So it's like now I got to work
Yeah.
through that book. That's my plan for this time that I'm at home, and then seeing how that affects what I'm doing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm all that is like under this category of just like I'm just trying to flow. I wanna like really just be able to like think musically and let it kind of happen. You know what I'm saying?
I dig. But
So
dog,
that's like
that's powerful, man. That's
yeah.
powerful. I'm here you go, man. Curry shedding advanced techniques, man. Huh? Like yo, like we like so that's that's man, that actually inspires like several questions. That's why I'm kind of blank right now. Um so who is the cat, man, who like really um I know I know you got cats that like when you were a kid you saw and they inspired you and made you want to
Mhm.
play drums. But like whenever you whenever you got over like that first hurdle of getting all four limbs working, right? And like you're beginning to get this being years ago, you hit that realm where it's like, okay, now I got control over my volume. Like who is one of the cats, whether living or deceased, that you saw and you were like, oh snap, like that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm gonna take that even further.
All right, so that's a little bit. My answer is a little bit layered,
That's
um,
cool.
because it kind of happened in stages, right? Like when I was younger, even though I'd only really played in church or only heard church cats play, um, because the internet kind of became a thing around the time I was like probably like 13. It was really popping, like in terms of like YouTube became a thing around that
Mm-hmm.
time. So I
Mm-hmm.
was able to like go and watch videos. So I was always on like gospel chops, and I would watch the gospel chops videos, and that's what I would practice. And that was what was normal to me. But through gospel chops, I found YouTube, and then uh, Drummer World too. So Drummer World, I would
Yeah.
just scroll through Drummer World and like click on try to find all the black drummers. So
Uh-huh.
like, and I went through every drummer on Drummer World, but I would try to find all the black drummers because I wanted to hear people that played like what I was used to hearing in church.
Uh-huh.
So through that, that's when I found like Elvin and Tony Williams and Art Blakey,
Come on.
and it's like I didn't know exactly what I was listening to,
Mm-hmm.
so that intrigued me because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I understood what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Only because stylistically it was just such a huge difference from what I was used to.
Mm-hmm.
So that like sparked it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, I want to go to school for jazz. I'm intrigued by jazz, but I didn't know at that time that I could have just been like getting on the train and going to New York. Like I didn't realize that at that time of my life. Plus I
Mm-hmm.
was like trying to do other stuff like being a knucklehead. But you know what I'm saying? It's like I was intrigued by the jazz. So when I got to Central, and it's funny because I won't say that this is like a drummer I listen to on a consistent basis, but when I got to Central, and besides y'all, like when Christian McBride came and Ulysses Owens was there, and he was playing, it was like right in front of my face.
Yeah.
It was like somebody who played the drums in a way that I recognized because he was like playing the drums,
Yeah.
but then he also had like insane dynamics and touch at the same time. So when I saw that you could actually do both, that's when I was like hearing him in person, literally it was like, oh, all right, bet.
Yeah.
And now I feel like that week, I started like really checking out Eric Harlan that week.
Woo.
Like I had kind of never really checked out or like I had seen Eric Harlan because I had scrolled so many videos of so many drummers by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I never really paid too much attention. So
Mm-hmm.
I like found out about Eric Harlan that week because I was talking to Thomas Taylor about my experience hearing Ulysses on. He was like, "Wait, all right, so what about Eric Harlan? Or what
Yeah.
about this guy? What about this guy?" And then Theus was like, "Yeah, Eric Harlan." I'm like, "Yo, what?" So I like start checking out Eric Harlan. It was just like people that were bridging the gap that you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? For me, it was like I could tell that Eric Harlan comes from the church.
Come on,
So it's
Doc.
like hearing that, hearing what I was used to hearing, and then also hearing that other stuff I was trying to get to from the same dude was like, okay, that's what I'm trying to do. That's the direction
Yeah.
I'm trying to go in. And I low key feel like my generation of drummers that's coming up right
Yeah.
now is doing it's so many more church cats playing or playing at jazz now. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
that makes
That's
sense.
real.
There's
No,
so many more. Like that's like it's funny that like I guess like the internet has kind of made like because some people didn't grow up in church and like now even in other styles of music like everybody's influenced by the whole gospel chops thing or whatever.
true, man.
That's like half of everyone's sound now. Unless you're like a metal drummer
Right.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
pop related, bro, is somewhat influenced by the church drum
Yeah.
style. So like definitely in the jazz space, I feel like my generation of drummers is kind of like hybrid jazz church kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and
Wow.
I feel like dudes like Eric Harlan was like that was like the first. no, I don't want to say the first because even Tane, I don't know if Tane comes out of church, but his sound is huge.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
his sound,
yeah.
he has like a almost like a John Bonham sound. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
crazy. But like I feel like Eric Harlan is like right after Tane, and it's like that's the beginning of like a church dude that's like, no, I'm really a jazz nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
really doing this jazz thing. So hearing that was like, yeah, I'm trying to do that, bro. That's where I'm trying to go. And I didn't ever get to the Eric Carlin thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like that was the direction I was trying to take at that point.
Yeah. No, that's killing, and I hear so many similarities because the thing about Harlan, man, is that, like you said, he we we know that the double stroke roll, being able to play them doubles between the feet and the hands, is like base level gospel chops.
Yep.
And you're completely right, man. He was the cat that was playing doubles like that on the bebop kit, and it didn't sound lame.
It
Like,
did.
like it sounded right. It was like, yo, nah. And so, bro, I totally see the similarities between you and Harlan. Man, I heard this was before I moved away. I heard a Zoo Crew project. I forget which album this was in y'all's like releases. But I remember we was chilling at Hannah's crib. He had just bought this spot downtown, and we was cool and listening to your record in the background. And it got to this part where you took this drum solo. I'm telling niggas, I'm like, yo, be quiet. What is that? What is that? Bruh, whenever I tell you you snap, bro, like, yeah, man.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
So
that.
of course, man. So talk to me about, because I'm even looking right here at this cat Carl Dot Ondergram, and he's like a top 5 actual live drummer. Like you have a certain clarity, uh, as well as speed, man. Especially between on that recording, the thing that I was peeping was I was like, okay, this cat's dialogue between his right hand and his right foot is like stupid nice. Like, what the heck, bro? But I've watched recent things,
Hmm.
and I see that you just didn't stop there. You know what I'm saying? Like you've added on.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. Yeah, talk to me about that, man. Like what, like how, like what do you, what you doing, man? Like what is it? Is it the diet? Like, bro, do I got to start eating the same cereal as you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Bruh,
what is it?
bruh, man. I think it's like it's funny though because it's a lot of drummers that like practice more than me. You know what I'm saying? And like shed more than me. And like there's a lot of drummers out there I'd be like, yo, this dude is so much better than me. But one thing I will say is like bro, I stay open minded to like new ideas. I stay open minded um to just growth. It's a mental thing for me, bro. I would say more so than even like practicing. You know what I'm saying? I definitely practice. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting at the drums
Mhm.
right now, but like, bro, it's a mental thing, and I think I've also low key like learned a lot playing on that Masego gig too because I've been given a level of freedom, but then also like working with the MD said,
Mhm.
who's also a drummer. His main instrument is drums, but he plays like bass
Ah,
and keys on the gig.
yeah.
But it's like he's he's not really he just has really high expectations, and I have a high expectations. So it's
Mhm.
like it's the perfect environment
That's
for
awesome.
just grow. We're always trying to get better, bro. We're
Yeah.
always trying to get better, and like I don't know. I think it's just that thing. Like I just want to always sound better. I'm never happy with how I sound, and I feel like
That's
some of
good,
that
man.
is stuff that I've learned from the jazz cast, from being at Central and being in this space. Like, bro, dudes are never really hungry. I mean, never really satisfied with their
Right.
sound, bro. Like, and it's like
That's
I'm
it,
never
man.
satisfied. I think I'm getting comfortable. I don't want to say comfortable. I think I'm feeling like sometimes it's like I'm getting somewhere, but
Uh-huh.
I'm never happy with my sound.
That's
I feel like it's
it.
always things I want to change. I want to alter. I want to sound like this. Or today I feel like this, but I wasn't able to play this. Okay, and now I need to figure out how I can play this. So next time I feel like that, I can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
just being open minded, bro. That's been a big thing to me. But I'm hungry, bro. I've always been like that. Like the way
Yeah.
I was in college. Like I
Yeah.
said, I might not shed as much as I did in college because it's like a different time of my life.
Of course, yeah.
But but
The
the
mindset,
mindset
though.
is the same, bro. I'm hungry, bro, for whatever it is. But always music, always drums, bro. And I'm
That's killing.
competitive. I'm a little competitive too. And I know
You gotta be.
it's like a thin line in music because it's like I'm competitive, but I also don't want to be a jerk. Because I feel like in college I was a jerk too. It's like I
Hmm.
don't want to be a jerk, and I'm very very much so inspired by other musicians,
Yeah.
but at the same time it's like when I hear something, it's like okay, I need to raise the bar. Like if I feel like somebody's better than me, and now that I'm 33 now, it's like I'm not the young dude anymore. I'm not the 23-year-old cat. So it's like the 23-year-old cats. It's like they're the ones that's like keeping me hungry. It's
Right.
like
Right.
the
Yeah.
drummers I listen to, bro. Like I've been, like how at the end of the year, like Spotify will like tell you like you listen to all these songs
Hmm.
this year, and this is
Hmm.
your top artist, and it's like all this stuff on Spotify has been like the young niggas, bro. It's like
Yeah.
the young dudes, and it's like that keeps me like, ooh, like you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just keeps
Yeah.
me on
That's it,
fire,
man.
bro. It keeps me turned up. So that's a thing, man. I always have my ears open.
Uh,
Always have my ears
That's
open, bro. So
killer,
that's
man.
the thing, man. That's the thing.
That's killer. I think you just gave a lot of the secret sauce away, which is number one, this game is friendly competition. There's a competitive element, and it's like
Hundred
because
percent.
because the thing about like this younger generation that worries me is that with everything being so like with political correctness and you know what I'm saying and everybody basically being so soft is that a lot of cats who have the potential to go on and be great when that competitive element hits them whenever they hit that first wall of wait a second um because I know exactly what you're talking about. You said earlier you were like, "Yo, you, you came from a place where you conquered that environment, but then you come into a new environment, and then you got to deal with, wait a second, like I got to start all over again." There are so many people who give up whenever they hit just that first wave of
Yeah.
just wait a second, like I'm not the best. It's almost like the weight of
Yeah.
reality and just the potential to grow and to grow because of the challenges that are presented. It's like they
Yeah.
fold, and you so having that competitive mindset is necessary. And then you said hunger. Um, yeah, man. I think, man, everybody who's listening, number one, if you aren't already following John, you need to go ahead and hit the follow button on his page. And I want to encourage you too to follow me over here at Larry Drawn Music, so you can keep up with the podcast because it's wisdom like this, like what you're saying. This is the type of stuff, bro, that somebody's gonna see this because the internet is forever. They gonna see this, and the right cat's gonna hear you say that because you are their favorite drummer, and it's gonna make them cut the video off and go share it right
Yeah.
then and there. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
let's see here. Literally dealt with that recently, but I did sports and I really kept my mind straight. Lyndon Blackburn. I think that that's a valid point too. Is like and I know you know this too, is like getting older,
Yep.
you recognize, wait a second, I can still get better at the instrument by doing other
Yep.
things away from the instrument.
Yep.
Talk to me about your mental practice. Talk to me
Bro.
about how you practice away from the instrument.
Bro. I I feel like that's where recently most of my growth has come from. Is like the things that I'm doing off of the drums. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Coupled with, what I'm saying, my practice on the drums, right? Or just playing. Bruh, working out. Uh, the first thing I would say is like just having hobbies in general or other things that I could do outside of music takes strain off of music.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? When music is the only thing that you do, I think it's easy to get to a place where like if the music doesn't feel like it's working out in that moment, like
Mm-hmm.
now you're ready to give up. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
think having outlets and other spaces makes it so that
Mm-hmm.
music it doesn't always have to be your outlet. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Music can
good.
just be your. It can be so many other things. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's super important to me. My routine, man, being in the gym, uh, boxing, all of that, man. It's so much a part of who I am
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
makes me a much better musician. Like when I was talking about like the things that I would do during the day to make sure that like when it came down to like play this drum solo, I'm in the right headspace. It's like going to the gym was one of those things. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't matter what country I was in, what city I was in. Like I've been to gyms in literally everywhere, bro. I'm gonna find the gym
Yeah.
on Google, bro. Like I don't care. We in Poland, we
Yeah.
in Berlin, we in
Yeah.
London.
Yeah.
Like it does not matter. We in Rome. I'm going to the gym, bro. I'm going
Yeah.
to the gym and I'm gonna be back. And it's just a part of it, man. That's the time where I get to meditate. I get to listen to music for enjoyment. You know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
and not for work or to feel like and not to say work, but to not feel like I need to learn it or this is part something I need to like shed. You know what I'm saying? I'm like enjoying music, which is part of my inspiration too. It's like that helps me to play so much better when I'm listening to music for enjoyment as opposed to like analyzing it or trying to learn it or like what is that drummer playing right there? Because it's like, bro, for years that's all I would do
That's
was
all it
listen to
was.
music,
Yeah.
analyzing. Everything was analytical. I was when I'm in the car, you know what I'm saying, like with people that aren't musicians, they're like I'm like
Mm-hmm.
criticizing every single thing that comes on the radio and this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
third. It's like I got to a point where it's like I kind of wasn't enjoying music. Of course, I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy playing, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? But it's like I wasn't enjoying music, and it's like I had to realize like, yo, you gotta kind of change your mindset and perspective about this. And it's like now, like when I'm in the gym, I can enjoy music. I'm listening to music for the enjoyment, and I'm getting re-inspired, reinvigorated. It's bro, I need that, bro. Even as a musician, man, you're pouring your emotions out. I know me personally, like I'm a passionate player, you know. So when I play shows and it's 10, 20,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
like you know what I'm saying. Even if it's like 5,000 people, even if it's four people, bro, like at bars. Because when I come home, I'm playing at the bar, bro. I'm gonna play the
Mm-hmm.
bar gigs. I love doing that, but it doesn't matter. I'm pouring myself out. So it's like sometimes I just need to like I need to that refuel. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm always pouring
Mm-hmm.
myself out as a musician. You know, I'm giving it my all. I'm being passionate. I'm giving the crowd everything I have. I'm literally giving it my all. It's like, bro, I need to refuel every day, bro. Because I
That's
can't
cool.
give if I'm empty. You know what I'm saying? So like
That's
my
it.
routine is, bro. My routine is everything, bro. Because I have to feel like I did something for myself before I can do something for others. And I feel like our gift as music and sometimes our responsibility as musicians is to like spread that love and spread that feeling and that joy and that
Yeah.
all of that comes with having the gift and having the anointing. Like spreading that um can be draining. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So like I have to I gotta refuel. I gotta refuel. I gotta have time for myself. I gotta recharge. You know? That's everything, man. It's
Yeah.
everything. It makes me a better person, a better father. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for me. And it's made me a better musician just by proxy. It's crazy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it has legitimately. So
That's killing, man. Well, look, man. First off, I'm glad to know that you're back this way. You know what I'm saying? I'm up here in the borough, but we'll hook all
but
of
you
that up.
around
You know what
though.
I'm
You
saying?
around though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes sir.
exactly.
Yes sir.
So yeah, we definitely got to kick it in person. But man, thank you so much for doing this because, like I said, this internet thing, what's beautiful is, man,
Yeah.
the nuggets of wisdom that you're giving people who really appreciate what you do. Uh, will be able to come back and hit pause after you say something and like write it down. You know what I'm saying? Like really be able to go back and check out like the different people that you've mentioned. You know what I'm saying? Because man, like I said, I I I was so geeked out when I looked up and I saw it was you on the drums. No, for real, because you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, for sure.
you already know, like Central puts out beats,
Yeah,
and the beautiful thing about Central is like, yo, we gonna be everywhere, you know. And to hear, I think the next, if it's cool, man, I would actually like to try to see if I could interview you again because I really want to talk with you extensively about this trap jazz movement.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
for sure.
I heard that term whenever I was checking out some Devin Sticks Taylor
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I just, bro, from the bottom of my heart, man, it's good to see you. It's good to hear
Likewise,
you. You know what I'm
likewise.
saying? And bro, we gonna link again soon. Thank you so
Yes,
much,
sir.
man, for being the
Yeah,
guest on my
man.
podcast. Man.
Thanks for having me, bro. Yeah, like you said, man, I would love to come back. So just let me know, dog. Just let me know, bro.
Bet. Well,
Yeah,
yo,
man.
I reckon we're gonna wrap it up right there. But thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, the immaculate and soulful Mr. John Curry.
Appreciate y'all. Peace,
Yes, sir.
peace.
All right, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna keep the broadcast rolling. My man Will Lyle, incredible bass player. Um, is it looks like he's here right now. Is that Will?
Hey Larry, how are you?
Man, I'm good, brother. Thank you so much for joining me,
Of
man.
course, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I was just I know you had just joined, but yeah, that cat John Curry, man, he's something serious on the drums, man.
Awesome. I'll have
Um
to check it out.
yeah, definitely. So man, the thing I love about our conversations since we recorded with Eve is that
Mhm.
you always moving. Like you're always moving around. And that no, that's freaking awesome.
Thank
Um
you.
yeah, definitely. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Will Lyle, incredible New York City bass player, brilliant educator, social media influencer. I mean, like, bro, you're wearing a lot of hats, man. I want to start with your origins because um, in just our brief time of knowing one another, I've heard you talk about being from California,
Mhm.
and so talk to me. How did you get into this music, man?
Uh, okay, that's a great question, and I'll give you a digestible answer for everybody, so I don't take up too much time. So essentially, my mom's family's from Austria, and they come from a long lineage of Austrian music, especially classical music.
Wow.
I didn't have any professional musicians in the family that I knew, but I had a great aunt that passed away before I was born that played piano, and I became really into the cello when I was a kid. So
Okay.
I wasn't a prodigy or anything. I played mostly for fun, but I really loved music, and I kind of always knew I was going to do it. Then my family moved we were living in San Francisco. We moved to Orange County, which is like kind of the opposite if you've ever been to Orange County.
Uh,
And especially that time, it was like a cultural wasteland, you know? Like San Francisco has all this musical history. It has the hippie movement, it has all the Oakland funk stuff, and it has the symphony. And then you go to Orange County, and it's like Sublime and surf rock, and it's like nothing, you know? I mean, it's
uh,
not
uh,
nothing, but it's like the opposite of yeah, culturally the opposite. So I started playing guitar, and then I got into percussion, and that's kind of its own story. But long story short, the jazz band already had three drummers, and they needed a bass player, as many bass players start. And so I started playing electric bass, but my main focus at the time was beat making, producing. So I went
okay.
to Berkeley to do music engineering and to make beats, and then everybody needed a bass player. And then I heard a couple jazz records, and then I kind of that was like my final like, okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go in this direction. And then I started like practicing all day, every day, practicing the upright because I never really done that seriously. And then I
Mhm.
just started playing all the time. And then yeah, and then I moved to LA after Berkeley, was there for 5 years, then moved to New York for MSM. I graduated that in 22 with the master's, and then I've been here since then. That's a long story.
That's
That's
killing,
the story.
man. I dig.
Yeah.
Well, man, you just gave so much wisdom in such a very short amount of time. The first thing that that comes to mind, and I want to ask you about what you just said is, talk to me about the difference in the LA music scene and the New York music scene.
Definitely. So, well, you're kind of, if you want to play straight ahead jazz, it just all depends on what you want to do. And I'm glad I had the experience of being in LA because it gave me my like introduction into like playing real jazz authentically.
Uh-huh.
There are a handful of great players over there.
Hmm.
Um, the great drummer Roy McCurdy is out there. The great drummer Marvin Smitty Smith is out there. Ralph Moore, the saxophone player, is out there. And some studio cats, more on the studio side, like people like Bob Shepard. And so I got to work with some of those people after I'd been out of college for like 1 or 2 years. And
Hmm.
but then the thing about that scene is, also it's a great springboard if you want to get more into the pop thing or if you want to do film scoring. But what I tell everybody is people ask me a lot about the studio scene in LA, and to be honest, like I thought I was going to move there, I thought I was going to move there with the goal of getting studio work, but the truth is all the recording studios these days are totally gone.
Uh-huh.
Like everybody's recording in their house now, right?
Right, right.
So
That's
there are no
great.
more like marathon days in the studio where it's like the bass players there sight reading a part. That just doesn't exist in the same way, and there
Hmm.
really isn't anybody that's under the age of 55 or 60 that's really doing any film scoring sessions. It's like all older cats and they're plugged in and that's what they do. And
Right.
musicians who are getting their pension from the union, which is a great thing. But yeah, so and for straight ahead jazz, which is ultimately what I wanted to do, I felt like I'd done what I could out there career wise, and so I always knew I wanted to come out here. Like all the stuff that I did over there was in preparation for New York. So yeah,
Mm.
that was kind of and then so New York is totally different because of the layout of the city. First of all, layout of the city and the history. All the history of not all of it, of course, but a huge part of the history of jazz and this music is here and happened here since the 50s and even the 40s. And like everyone says, you have Greenwich Village where there are 5 to 10 clubs within walking distance, and you can go hear this music played at such a high level every night. And the attitude and the delivery and the kinds of people that move here are very. It's a very specific breed, and but nowadays too, I think that you don't necessarily have to be in either scene to like do some stuff in straight ahead, but definitely this is where I feel like I need to be for now, and I would also say to any aspiring musicians listening, like yeah, just make a list of the people that you want to play with and the goals that you want to do, and if they're leaning more towards the pop side, then that means probably LA or Nashville, and if you want to do straight ahead jazz, then definitely New York,
Mhm.
So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I could go
Yeah.
on and on about this one, but yeah.
Well, no, 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 no. I really appreciate how you organized your answer, because so many things you said were brilliant, especially on the end of um, like economics for musicians, and like viability, like with careers. Because one of the things I wanted to talk with you about was like the business side of things, because it's so easy a lot of times, like as people who just love music, to just go in and just be concerned about the art, but not have a plan
Mhm.
to turn that artistry into money, like consistent money, and not get, and also not set yourself up to be in a position uh, where you don't have ownership of your art, or you don't have creative control over what you're doing, like you end up having to be a slave.
Mhm.
One of the things I dig about the way you've entered the educational space up here on social media, man, I think what you're doing is brilliant.
Thank you.
um yeah, heck yeah, man. So when did that light bulb click like in your head? Like did your parents like sit you down and were like, "Hey man, you ain't gonna be no brokey." Like how did that you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
how did all of that kick
Okay.
in?
Definitely. So I kind of it kind of all started with the pandemic, you know, and kind of learning how to navigate, how to do things remotely and how to
Mhm.
sort of adapt, you know, when something happens, when there's a major event, how can I adapt in the most uh, intelligent, viable way, and you know, and also how can I try to find opportunity in it.
Mhm.
So I after the like in the middle of the pandemic, which is when I moved here, and then sort of when it started to calm down, that's what like the gigs in New York were still pretty scarce, so we would do a lot of playing on the street, and I would be playing on the street all the time,
Okay.
right? And the thing that I realized is just like I would spend so much of my time and my effort and energy to earn to earn something that was not predictable, and it was tough, you know. It was tough to like make that sustainable, and like how do I deal with all the stuff that comes with playing on the street. And there's nothing, you know, some people really love doing that, and some people it's really within their personality, but eventually I kind of was like, okay, I love doing this, but now I'm going to be more selective about it, and I want a way to make money online. So I was like researching how to make money online, and because I just wanted more freedom, and I wanted to also like make sure I had enough resources to pursue certain things that like artistic things, traveling, setting up tours and stuff. So, and I tried lots of different avenues. Like I tried making a TikTok channel with food, you know. I tried getting remote jobs. I
Uh-huh.
tried like all these kind of ideas, and I should sign up for masterclass, and I would watch until the end and learn the the best way for me to do it was to find a way to monetize something that's already natural to me, because I'm a musician and that's natural to me. I've been doing that already for almost 10 years
Mhm.
professionally, and there's something to share with that experience. I don't know who's at that time. I was like, I don't know who's going to be into it. I don't know who's going to pay attention, but I need a way to consolidate my knowledge and sell it to people.
Mhm.
So I started with making an online course, and and a Shopify store. And the thing that I learned in the very beginning was when I well, the very first thing I tried to sell was 20 bass transcriptions of all my idols, like Milt Hinton, you know, Buster, Ron, Ray Brown. I tried selling that. I was like, okay, you pay me $20, I'll send you all my transcriptions and then YouTube links. And that caught on, but not as much as I thought it would. I was kind of surprised. And then also at that same time, I was working on making a bass course, and I finally finished this online course, which basically, if those of you are not familiar, I mean, you know, you just it's you pay to get access to videos and instructional material, and it's like an online course for college basically, but you just make it about your instrument or improv or jazz or whatever. And because I didn't know what it was, I heard that courses were taking off, but and people about heard about people earning money with courses, but I didn't know what to do about it. So I started off with the most basic way was I just took a bunch of videos on my phone and I put them in a Dropbox folder, and then I made 20 PDFs of instructional stuff like scale fingering, like chord types, like and some of those transcriptions and some note choices for rhythm changes, stuff like that. And I started selling it to people that were following me, and my closest, my previous students, and some fans that had been following me at for a time bought it right away. It sold a couple copies within the first day. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I kept trying to market it, but what I realized is that most people on Instagram who are watching jazz content might be comfortable dropping $10 on something, or but not comfortable dropping $250 on something. So okay,
Okay.
how can I get them to drop the $10 because for in exchange for just a little piece of knowledge? So then a drummer told me about this guitarist named Richard Pena, who is like a total mastermind of Instagram. I mean, I'm just in the early stages, but he's truly great at it.
Mhm.
And he's based out of Chicago. Oh, I think Puerto Rico now, but he goes back and forth from Chicago. He's a Chicago guy, and he does a Patreon. So he sells digital products on his Patreon and sells his lessons on his Patreon. And so what I did is I just started selling the PDFs from my course on my Shopify store, and it kind of took off. And I would also release little videos from my course talking about little stuff, like one topic. Like one of them was about how the top note in a bebop line gets the accent, which is something that I learned from Wanzi, right? And he learned that from his piano teacher at Berkeley. And I just made a little video about the top note gets the accent, and it was a snippet. I talked about Wanzi later, but it was a snippet of just that, and that started getting traction. Then I made a couple videos about Afro-Cuban stuff. Then that started getting traction. And then I made some comedic videos, and the comedic videos were like the first ways that I started seeing actual numbers. And we're talking about hundreds to almost thousands of visitors to my website. And only recently have I started to scale the website and got into stuff like advertising, stuff like meta ads, Instagram ads, and that's different from the boost post thing. If you have a business
Right.
account on Instagram, for example, you see that button to do the boost post, but actually I have some developer people managing that. So I'm trying to scale this into being a sustainable income, so that way I could be selective about my gigs and not always worry or wonder about rent, and seeing what I can do with this, and then hopefully teach this to other people. Because the last thing I want to say on this topic, or I mean, I'll say more if you want, but the last thing I wanted to point out when I'm on this is because the online education is about to take off,
Right.
especially since the pandemic. A lot of jazz programs are going away. A lot of jazz programs are closing because they don't have enough students. But the online market for education in all forms of music and in general is projected to start earning billions of dollars, which is why it's a great opportunity for us now to get in on it before it becomes totally oversaturated.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I I first off I agree, and I felt that the way that you were moving your chess pieces was going in that direction. But for you just to confirm that, um, yeah, man, it's just really encouraging and clarifying, and I think that it's also necessary because musicians, uh, like, man, whenever you're a teenager, man, you just want to play. But the thing that isn't really like stress, it's one thing. It's one thing whenever like you pick up your instrument and you're super good at it. It's one mindset that comes along with that, and then it's another mindset like whenever you have to like really work hard to get good at the instrument. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years, and I would love to hear your opinion on this, is that the cats who don't get offended at not being as naturally talented as other cats, it's almost like they have they tap into I noticed that in college, like a lot of the players who weren't necessarily that talented, they had a more realistic mindset about business. Now, see, to me, you're like a unicorn because you a bad cat. You can play your tail off. You know what I'm saying? But but you also are using that same ingenuity that you have on the instrument. You're using it, to think about business and these type of things. Um, and I just appreciate your example because young people are going to see this and they're going to be like, okay, wait a second. Yeah, I need to go practice 4 and 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day. I need to put in some 10 and 12-hour days, but I also need to be thinking about my paper.
totally,
Um,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And look at Herbie. Look,
come on,
look at Ron Carter, like the great maestro. Look at. I mean, there are tons of examples we can look at even in the older generation of people who really. Donald Byrd is another one. People who really were always smart about business and
come on.
didn't rest on their laurels just with music, because things are always changing, and there are lots of ways. Like, there are not as many opportunities in a lot of ways now there are not as many opportunities. There are no jazz messengers you can tour with, right?
Right.
Betty Carter, there's no Betty Carter around for us to who's always listening to the young players and picking the best. That just doesn't happen for us. So now how can we navigate it and actually see some opportunity? And an interesting thing is that in some ways there are like, I mean, there are actually infinite opportunities with this because everybody's connected now with the internet, but it's a learning curve. I'm always learning, and but it's fun. I'm enjoying it, and it's still at the point where it's fun. So it's good.
That's killing, man. That's killing. So you mentioned the big homie Wanzi, man. Um, and I've heard you in another video on your page talk about this, like that brilliant nugget of advice that you gave, which is you need to make a list of people you want to play with, and then you need to learn their stuff, and then you need to go after it. But if you don't mind, man, share with the people a little bit about your relationship with Wanzi and how all of that came about.
Absolutely. Okay, so my teacher, my most significant teacher and mentor in college was Ralph Peterson. Ralph Peterson Jr. Yeah,
Woo!
yeah,
Let's
and
stop right there.
yeah.
We got to stop right there, yo.
Okay, we'll stop right there.
Yeah, we got to shout out to the late great Ralph Peterson, man. Yo, all of the young drummers, Google Ralph Peterson right now. I'm sorry, man. I just had this to get
Yeah,
that out.
absolutely, and also Google who he taught because you'll find like everybody that's on the scene now, even people that just took a lesson or two with him. You know, Justin Faulkner, Kendrick,
Mm-hmm.
Rodney Green. It
Yeah.
goes on and on and on and on. It was generations of people, and so I got to be part of that. The very last, before he tragically passed away from cancer. We all miss him a lot. But he was, you know, uh, there was something different about Ralph and the rest of the teachers at Berkeley. And I didn't really know much about him when I studied with him, other than that he was the last drummer in the Jazz Messenger big band, right? So
Uh-huh.
he's a
Uh-huh.
protege of Art Blakey. He's also a protege of Elvin, and I think to some extent Tony, but I know he was
Mhm.
definitely close with Elvin and Boo.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so I knew that he was different because he got a call in the middle of class and he put it down and he said to the class, "That was Kenny Garrett." And I never saw there are no other teachers in Berkeley who would get a call from Kenny
Kenny
Garrett.
Garrett.
And of
Yeah.
course, like that aside, I mean, even before that, when he sat down at the drum, one of the catalysts for me going in the direction of straight ahead was in class, and I was in his like lower level ensemble, but he got one like level 4 ensemble. There are all these ratings at Berkeley, so it's low. And it was my second year, but he got down at the drums and he just played so amazingly. I mean, I never experienced that kind of playing on the stage before, and also he didn't he still played. He was still being Ralph and being himself, but he always was. Everything that he played was so helpful to everybody, and it just made everybody sound great. And it made me sound better. And I was like not good at the time. It made me like the way he played a cymbal made the bass sound louder.
Mhm.
If you have a lot of young drummers watching this now, I want to say to the young drummers like there's something about the older players that when they play, they know how to play underneath the bass.
Mhm.
Not doesn't mean you're subdued or that the bass is always dominating, but you know how to make the quarter note something bigger than what it is. It's a tricky thing to explain, but like
Mhm.
most of the great older drummers have it. So anyway, so Ralph was doing he had this project called the Messenger Legacy Band, and that was celebrating Art Blakey's centennial. So he was like organizing all these former members of the Messengers, Bobby Watson, Brian Lynch, Bill Pierce, Jeff Keezer. Benny Green was supposed to do a gig. And then he also, because of the piano chair, it was more difficult to find pianists. Um, he got Zakai Curtis in for one of the tours, one of the legs of the tour, and then another one of the pianists he got was Wanzi, and he talked to us in class. I remember about Wanzi. He's like, "Oh yeah, Wanzi definitely would have played with Art Blakey. He was just that generation after that Art Blake after Art Blakey died that just missed the chance to get to play with the Messengers, but he definitely would have been in there. So that's the first time I heard of him. And then but I have a decent memory. And when I moved to New York, I started hearing Wanzi's name, and I figured out that he was playing pretty regularly at Smalls and Mesro.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said earlier, and he wouldn't mind me telling this because some musicians would mind, but I know Wanzi wouldn't. We were all playing on the street. I mean, some big names, people that you think are names that you've heard on records, they were playing in the street too when the end of the pandemic. So we would all see each other, And there was a drummer, a great buddy of mine named Joe Tangy, who through another bass player started playing with Wanzi. Then he called me to start playing in his band, which featured Wanzi. And the good thing about my training in LA and San Diego is I got to play a lot of R&B and a lot of backbeat stuff. And Wanzi's thing, a lot of it is, of course, super heavy, straight ahead jazz, but he loves playing R&B stuff too. And so I knew most of those songs, like "Yearnin' by the Gap Band," Michael Jackson, "I Can't Help It," Shaka Khan, "Through the Fire." Like, I had already studied all that back in California, so I was ready, And so naturally, we started to gravitate, and like we started to collaborate, and then he started to call me, and then next thing you knew, I was playing in his band. And I'm so lucky. I mean, he introduced me to you. He introduced me to Eve. So yeah, he's been great. I love Wanzi. I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Great.
he's a bad brother, man. Bad brother. So what bass player like really pushed you over the edge as far as like your curiosity and really like your hunger to like really take this thing serious? Like, who was the cat that you heard and you were like, yep, that's it?
Yeah, it was definitely PC to start with, based on
Okay.
shop, and it was also Scott LaFaro with Bill Evans, and that was
Wow.
that was an album that my grandma loved because
Uh-huh.
Bill Evans is more on the classical side, at least for that time. So she
Uh-huh.
loved that playing and that kind of. So I would hear that all the time as a kid, and I never really noticed
Mm-hmm.
how much Scott was playing on that album. And then I listened to it. Then I read both of their bios, and they both
Mm-hmm.
started bass. I think PC may have started when he was 16, but it was definitely late teens, and Scott started when he was 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time he was 24, he was in Bill Evans's trio.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, and that actually inspired me. I'm like, okay, well, I know I have some musical background. I'm not clueless. So if I practice really hard for 5 years, what can happen? And actually, it went better than I thought it would. Yeah, I mean, obviously, those guys are like a totally different league and totally genius. But after practicing a lot for 5 years, when I was 18 up until I was 23, it put me at least, I mean, nowhere near the it didn't totally all materialize immediately, but it put me in the right direction for things to start happening later.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got to New York, I had already been in so many situations, so I wasn't as easily, I'm glad I waited to move here, but yeah, it all came from those two guys, definitely.
That's
And then
good.
it was, of course, Ray Brown. Of course, I had a whole Ray phase. I had 4 years where I only tried to play like
Come
Ray.
on.
And my dream was to get into Jeff Hamilton's trio.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. And then there were years, I mean, then I got into some Charlie Hayden for a little bit. And then of course, I think my favorite now is probably Milt Hinton or Rufus Reed. And of course, like I spent 2 years studying with Maestro Ron, and he's also a huge inspiration, and a very like I love his playing too. I mean, there's so many, right? It's like drummers, there's so many to listen to.
Hang on, time out, bro. You say you spent 2 years studying with Ron Carter.
Yes, I did.
Bro, we ain't about to act like that ain't
No, I know.
bro.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I mean, and I appreciate the humility with it. You just like, yeah, I studied with Ron. But no, what the freak? Bro, that's Ron Carter. Like he and Tony Williams single-handedly changed the way we perceive quarter notes. What did you learn from Ron Carter?
Well, the biggest thing I learned was to be on at all times, every time,
Mm-hmm.
and to really like you couldn't get one by him. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of people much more established than me are scared of studying with him because
Mm-hmm.
he's demanding and he's critical, and it's great. It was so great for my playing because
Mm-hmm.
he's honest with you, and you have to totally prepare. You have to so essentially, I won't get it. I won't get into too much. I won't tell people the exact books, but he has these 8 books that he works out of, and he
Mm-hmm.
has this way that he wants you to prepare it.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, interestingly, we talked about innovation. Him and another classical bassist, Francois Rabath. I mean, to my knowledge as a bass historian and a music historian, those guys were two like huge innovators that sort of happened at the same time, and they basically, long story short, they changed the way that the bass was played because they started thinking horizontally instead of vertically. And so that's all I'll say about that topic. But basically, what you would do is you prepare etudes every week, and you'd play them for him, and then he would assign you some melodies, and then sometimes some baseline exercises. But yeah, I mean, there were only 2 times where I came in, and I wasn't even unprepared. Like I definitely practiced and put the work in, but I just wasn't prepared as I usually was for the,
Mm-hmm.
for the first 2 weeks, and I knew like immediately to like never do that again. But
Mm-hmm.
he was so great, and very generous too. Would like offer me he'd let me know when he was playing, and he said, oh yeah, let's talk backstage, and like and he I'm so grateful to him, and it's so inspiring to like listen to him play. And you think about just the sheer, like, his discography is like so extensive, like the most extensive discography of any jazz bass player. and
Mm-hmm.
uh and any group, I mean, like he finds a way to make everybody sound better, and to also to to serve the music, but also push the music forward by, I mean, and and you learn so much studying with him, but of course you learn a lot listening to him too. And yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about Maestro. So I really should call him. Yeah, he's the best.
That's real, man.
Yeah.
It's Ron freaking Carter, bro. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. So, so what are you currently working on right now, like conceptually? Whether it's like a very specific thing, um, you know, technique, sound, whatever, or if it's like a more holistic thing that you're trying to get out on the instrument. What you working on, man?
Definitely. So I am right now. I'm playing a lot to drumless records to fit in with certain players and their time,
Mm-hmm.
especially piano records and some guitar records. I play along with some records with drums, of course, too. But that is specifically like walking along, playing bass lines, playing two field to that.
Mm-hmm.
I am studying with the classical teacher who's
Mm-hmm.
helping me with like excerpts and some like ways to get some make my left hand a little bit cleaner and a little bit more methodical with the bow. And then I'm playing rhythm changes, fast rhythm changes, doing arco solo, trying to take it through the keys. That's very helpful. And also preparing for my next record, which is going to be recorded in January. So I'm and
Sweet.
yeah, so handling all that as well as
Mm-hmm.
playing and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's killing, man. I hope everybody was listening because you just gave a major formula for the secret sauce. Um,
Thank you.
I'm excited about this record with Eve, man.
I
I
well,
texted her. Yeah, I texted her a few days ago. I was like, hey Eve, I'd love to like come and just sit and just listen to the record, man. How did so you met Eve through Wanzi?
yeah, yeah, essentially, yeah. He's like, oh, I have a gig in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
singer from the RH Factor, and yeah, that's how I met you. That's how I met you, and yeah, man, that was so much fun, man. that was really fun. I really enjoyed going down there.
Um,
So I'll tell the story. So Wanzi and I had this uh, Tuesday gig every Tuesday in New Jersey, and before Eve's record, our rehearsal was on a Wednesday, so we pulled an all-nighter. We drove from New Jersey to North Carolina. Yeah,
dang.
it was like 12 hours, and we got to Eve's at like 7 a.m.,
Hmm.
slept for like 5 hours, and then went right to the rehearsal.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
quite the undertaking. But yeah, man. Yeah, we called her in the car a couple weeks ago, and she says it should be out in January. So I hope it comes out because it'd be great to have that documented. You know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, shout out to Eve, man. Eve is definitely like one of the OGs down here in North Carolina and also internationally. And she's been doing her thing for a minute and really being like a standard bearer uh on every level.
Totally.
So man, talk to me about singers. Talk to me about what you've learned um from working with singers that's different than working with instrumentalists.
Um, that's a great one. Well, first, actually, Ralph always used to say that singers get all the work. So if you can play with a singer, you'll work a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
actually, you learn a lot of things, stuff like listening, um, ways to uh, ways to make your accompaniment and setups, especially if you're a pianist, setups, intros, outros, endings. Excuse me. You learn all that to make that really, really clear
Mm-hmm.
and make it sort of impossible to fail because and also you get to learn certain tunes like certain tunes that are not necessarily only but mostly done by vocalists,
Mm-hmm.
something like Dream a Little Dream of Me, for example, right?
Yes.
And I know
Yeah.
that I can't remember exactly what we recorded on Eve's album, but there were definitely some on there that are more singer oriented.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, you learn the repertoire, you learn about setups, you learn about how to communicate in a band,
Mm-hmm.
and listen for an ending, because an
Yeah.
experienced singer will have a way of singing the melody out to where they can tag it, like either tag it 3 times or loop the tag, or if it's a really great singer, somebody who can sing it like a minor third up and the pianist can follow, or a half
Yeah.
step up and a
Mm-hmm.
pianist can follow. And that's like somebody like Eve who knows all that and can do all that. But yeah, and I've had a chance to play with some really really great young and older singers. There was a singer named Barbara Morrison who did a lot of stuff with the Clayton Hamilton Orchestra and had her heyday and the peak of her career was in the 80s, but she was based on the West Coast for most of it, but sang with tons of big bands. And she had this performing arts center in LA. So I got to play with her a couple times. And there's a great young jazz singer named Melissa Morgan who I played with, who came out to LA, who was from here in New York originally, but made a lot of records in LA. I'm on this other singer's record, Leah Booth, who's she was on the Late Show with James Corden. And yeah, I love singers, and I think it's a special kind of skill, and definitely for the Great American Songbook, there's no better way to learn it, and also to have both in different keys.
Mm-hmm.
Like when a singer wants to do something in D or A or some messed up sharp ski or midi flat ski, it's like, oh God, do I still even know this song?
Right.
But that just comes from paying dues. You got to pay your dues.
And,
So yeah.
well, yo, that yeah, that's killing, man. You once again you giving away the secret sauce. You're giving the formula, giving away the formula for success. Um, I wish I would have asked this before,
Mhm.
but you talked about these things that you're working on um artistically, like with the instrument,
Mhm.
and then you mentioned that you are also working on your record. I would imagine that all the things that you're practicing, like that's a part of the overall sound that you're trying to achieve in this next
Definitely,
project. Okay,
definitely.
talk to me about that, man. Like what do you? Because I'm assuming that you're writing everything, or at least arranging everything. Is this all original material? Is this a combination?
No, actually. thankfully. It's there are going to be a few originals on there. I'm also playing a couple tunes by my friends, which I really like.
Kill.
One composer that lives. That was my old roommate back in California,
Mm-hmm.
and then another composer who went to MSM with me is a great saxophone player named Rico Jones, and so we're doing some of their tunes. We're doing a few of my tunes, and then we're doing some arrangements of standards. And I don't know if there are any like pure like I don't think we're doing any like Blue Note tunes or something like that, but it'll essentially be those. But yeah, the stuff I'm working on is like a lot of sound concept, you know. The way that I was recorded, it was partly the way that I was recorded and also how I was practicing in my first album, and my albums with my band, my trio called Triogram.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working just on more, yeah, classical stuff and tried to get a really pretty, you know, left hand, more legato kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and also a big thing that the classical bass teacher taught me was something about arm weight, you know, and so yeah, it's kind of preparing for that, and then also harmonically dealing with it. So like you know, you play with the tune to get a feel with it, or feel for it with the sheet music, of course, and then obviously like soloing over it, developing your ideas, and just having the track play as you can kind of mess around and find some stuff on there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's been super helpful. And then of course, like a big part of it is just like how you're feeling that day and like the how your instrument feels and but you got to be prepared. There's only one way to be prepared. So yeah, I'm preparing all that stuff, and I got to send everybody the tunes tomorrow because we're rehearsing in 2 weeks. So I
Uh-huh.
want them to be comfortable enough too. So yeah,
I dig.
yeah,
Well, man,
man.
that's killing. I'm excited, man. I'm definitely looking forward to buying it whenever whenever you release it.
I'll take
You mentioned this.
free
I
copy for
did. I did. Well, man, I appreciate that, but I'm definitely I'm definitely trying to support as well.
thank you.
Um, where you got a lot of stuff jumping off online, man. How like I know your Instagram, people can follow you there, but where else can people keep up with what you're doing online?
Mhm. Uh, well, I'm pretty. I do post on Patreon. It's a price of a cup of coffee every month,
Mhm.
$5. That's only there's only one tier now. I think Instagram would be the best way to get in touch if anybody has any questions for me or they just I'm happy to give some insights as much as I can. Yeah, Instagram DM and I'm on Facebook, but I don't really use that as much as I connect with my followers more on here, and I want to get into TikTok more, but yeah, IG is probably the best place.
I
Yeah.
dig. So yeah, people, y'all hear that? So his follows should be jumping through the roof. I see it's a lot of people. So if you aren't currently following his page, go ahead and hit the follow button. And I also want to encourage you hit the follow button over here at Larry Drum Music, so that whenever we're online, interviewing cats, you're able to be hip to it.
Right.
Now, I've been enjoying listening to you and your videos uh, talk about music, and really give like an authentic um, way of describing how to get better. One of the things that I don't like about jazz education in its current state is that there's a lot of people who are telling people what to do, but they don't have any practical experience. Like, you know what I mean?
Of course.
And so I wanted to ask you, number one, what are some of the things, or what is, if it's not several, what is one thing that you think could be added to jazz education? Yeah, I'll just stop there.
Yeah, well, that's a good
What's
well, first I would say is that if you this I was saying this to somebody the other day who had a similar question, and sorry,
where's
it's not
a second? Okay, there it is. Because you went mute for a second, but go
okay.
ahead.
Essentially, it's not just about the notes. It's not about the notes, and it's not about the licks, and it's not about the chords and the harmony. That's not the essence of it. The essence of the music is historic and cultural. and it's a long history. It goes even pre-America, right? It goes back to Africa. It goes back to Europe in some ways, and it goes back to Latin America in a lot of ways too. And it's hundreds and hundreds of years of this forming before even we would call it jazz, right? And it's an essence, and the people like Wanzi are part of that continuum. It's a giant continuum, right? I tell people like everybody was a sideman. Herbie was the sideman with Miles. Miles was the sideman with Bird. Bird was the sideman with Earl Father Hines. Earl Father Hines is the sideman with Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong was the sideman with King Oliver. And it goes back and it goes before that too. And the thing, yeah, you got to understand the history. And Ralph was, of course, about the history. And I don't like, I also tell people like you got to come at the music with respect. And if you do that, then the people who can really play and the musicians will see that. But it's way more than just the notes and the theory, and that could be taught by anyone who learns it. But there's something you can learn from. There's something that only experience can teach you, and being around it. I had a hunger to be around it and to just absorb. And really, like, I mean, even Fred Hurst says, "Don't write anything until you're 30." I think that's extreme, but that means that your formative years should just be absorbing and listening, and that it's passed down. It's an oral tradition. It's so yeah. I think everyone should. If you're interested, if you call yourself a jazz musician, you check out the documentaries. Ken Burns Jazz is great. Ted Joy's History of Jazz is great, although a little exhaustive. He spends a lot on the early days, and of course it's important to know that stuff. But it's easy to get overwhelmed too from like studying the different eras, right? Because you also have to. I mean, it's a crazy thing about being a musician in 2024 because now we're expected to know all of these styles. You're expected to know a second line beat and bossa nova and 6/8 and 7/4. You're expected to do that. That could be just a bar gig in New York because we play all those grooves, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of understanding the essence and the history. I think.
You said the way you phrased it was brilliant. You said everybody's a sideman, and if you approach the music, that's a brilliant way to really get into like the web of everybody being connected. It's like not only check out your favorite artist, but check out the period in their artistry when they were a sideman, and then check out and go back. That's slick the way you put that together, man. Um, Let me ask you this, and I've never asked the cat this before, so
Okay.
I'm very
All right.
curious how this strikes you, right?
Okay.
So you you're from Cali, right?
Mm-hmm.
White cat, mad cool.
Thanks, man.
Of course, man, of course. But like, how has that how has that factored into you coming into certain spaces to learn the music?
That's a great question. Well, you got to remind, and certain musicians have told me this, older musicians, that they just reminded me that, in a lot of circles and a lot of situations, you're a guest and you're there to learn, and keep your ears open and your mind open. And especially when older cat, and if they say something, just let them talk and nod your head, and you can think whatever you want, but you gotta, yeah. And I think I mean, the other side of that is my mom's family is from Europe, and in Austria, there's a big tradition of like honoring ancestors and honoring your elders, and they're super into that, and you can see that in the African American community too, and in the traditional African communities. Actually in lots of traditional Eastern
Yeah.
communities, they're super into like honoring the elders and like having they get the first choice on everything, and that kind of reverence taught me a lot, and also just being around certain musicians. Being around Ralph was also a big one too, because like that was like pretty real, because they're like I got to learn a lot about that from him too. But yeah, I mean, I'll try to be as careful as I can with what I'm saying. But yeah, I definitely I'm conscious of that, but also okay, like how can I be true to this music and find an honest way to say my thing while having the being mindful of the origin and everything, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and also like just being willing to put yourself in certain situations that you wouldn't always go, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like when I was when I was learning Latin music, I had to learn how to play a guaguancó correctly from a guy
Right.
from Cuba, you know,
Yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
like, oh, because I was playing it like what you would call the popular Puerto Rican style, which is like, so if anyone knows what a guaguancó is, you have the ding 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 ding, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I was playing the bass line on the opposite side of
Yeah.
that. But he is like a legit conga player from Cuba, and he's like, no, you play on the other side. The other side is the authentic way to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And there still are even debates about it today. It's not really a debate, but so stuff like that, like being open to somebody who is experienced, who like comes from that tradition and can give you, and it's like, oh, I can learn it. I can just keep an open mind, you know. But yeah, just remember, in some situations, you're a guest, and you have to just listen to the elders and just and have that be part of your whole, you know, because whether it's a negative or positive experience, it's part of your whole thing, you know. And actually, if somebody tells you off, you're lucky because that means that they're giving you the time of day. It's really when they don't say anything that's probably a problem, you
Exactly.
know. Like that's probably like, oh, they're ignoring me. We don't want to get ignored, you know. So yeah.
You once again, you giving cats a secret sauce, man. And what I liked about what you just said too was you talked about um just the human element. One of the things I love about jazz is that it takes the strengths of everybody's culture. You know, it's like everybody that they're just certain things we just gonna have all in common because we all human,
Right,
man.
right.
And yeah, and being able just to tap into that and like you said, just just appreciate just approach things with that intellectual curiosity, but also with a certain kind of humility, you can never go wrong. Um, because that's one of the things that like I've appreciated about checking out your channel is how knowledgeable you are about these different styles in the overall African diaspora. And I'm like, wait a second, this cat he paying attention whenever people are talking, because you can't know those little nooks and crannies, those little nuances, unless you're doing a lot of listening and a lot of paying attention. Um, man, I just want to thank you once again, man, for sitting down with me. Like I said, the thing I love about you is that you always are on the move, and yeah, man, and that in and of itself is admirable because you got to be in a certain kind of mindset um, to constantly be rolling like you are. Where the where are you on the way to? Like where are you going between now and like January?
Uh, well, January, I will be posting about it soon, but after I do my record, there will be some road dates around the country. This
Hmm.
time with some classical stuff, but we're still confirming all the details. But yeah, that's so I'll be posting it. You'll
I do. Yeah, man. Uh-huh. Yeah, the sound just went out.
oh oh
Okay, there it is. There it is. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you again now. I'm
yeah no
sorry.
problem.
That
I was just saying thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate being on your channel and being featured here. It's an honor, and I can't wait to hear Eve's record with you and me on it. And I hope you make it to New York soon, and hope we can chat more outside the podcast.
heck yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Well, I reckon that'll be it. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good night. Y'all heard from the incredible Mr. Will Lyle. Check him out. Make sure that you're following his Patreon page, that you jump on his Instagram, and be on the lookout for his records dropping soon, man. I'll talk to you
All
soon.
right. you, Larry. Thank you.
Yes, sir.